Well, to call this a tumultuous time in Canadian politics would be quite an understatement. Joining us today to discuss where his party currently stands and to get his views on how the country can climb out of this storm is federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. Mr. Singh, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure to be here.
And I do want to get back to talking about the current climate here, but I want to touch on the news of the day here. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau testified at the foreign interference inquiry, and he testified that he has the names of, quote, a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians, and or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference. I want to get your reaction to this and ask you if you've had access to this information.
Well, I had indicated when I read the secure information that I had read as a part of my top secret clearance, and I'd said something similar, that there is clear evidence that the report laid out that lists out parliamentarians that are engaged in either knowingly or unwittingly engaged in acts to undermine our country. Clearly that there's evidence of that. There's intelligence of that. And there is only one federal leader right now who has not received security clearance and has no intention of receiving security clearance. That's Pierre Poilievre. I love our country. I love our democracy. I would do everything to protect it, to protect the people. I can't imagine why Pierre Poilievre knows, it's in public discourse, that there is clear intelligence touching his party with election interference, foreign interference, and he refuses to want to know what's going on. That, to me, is a serious blow to his credibility. It really questions whether he cares about our country and our democracy.
And this testimony also comes, as you touched on briefly, after serious allegations were leveled against the Indian government, and Canada expelled 6 diplomats. There was a portion of Trudeau's testimony here where he says that he wanted to make sure that there was accountability, but make sure to do it in a way that doesn't, quote, blow up the relationship between Canada and India. As a country, how do we proceed? How do we balance the seriousness of these allegations, but also and the necessary actions and steps that Canada needs to take, but also keep the country's relationship intact with India?
Well, I think that we have to separate a couple of things. We have trade relationships with businesses in India. People from India come to Canada. People have family they want to go back to in India. Those relations are very important. But the specific challenges we have are with the Modi government, so the government of India. And right now, what we have in front of us are some of the most serious allegations possible, that a foreign government hired criminal elements, criminal organized crime, to commit acts of violence targeting Canadian homes, businesses, and places where people are in their community. That is some of the most serious threats possible. And given how serious that is, we need to all be united. All parliamentarians need to be united to say that is obviously very wrong. The more transparency, the more light we can shine on this, that is truly the solution, to get more transparency, to get more accountability. And that's another reason why, given the seriousness of these ongoing threats, when Canadians are being targeted with shootings, and the link is with the Indian government or Indian diplomats that are carrying out these shootings in communities or hiring the people to carry out these shootings. And we've got, again, only one federal leader who refuses to get briefed on what's going on with India. It gives a message, it sends a message that there's a politician that's willing to turn away, to look away while India engages in some of these heinous crimes against Canadians. So that's another reason why Pierre Poilievre, again, has to get briefed, know what's going on, take appropriate action in his own caucus, but really show that united front that we believe in protecting our country.
I want to turn our attention to pharmacare now. It is now law. This is a bill that was part of the partnership between the Liberal and NDP party before that relationship or agreement was terminated here. The difficulty now and the challenge I would ask you about is, how do you get provinces to sign up for this? Do you expect this to be a challenge?
Well, we saw this with healthcare back in the day. Not all provinces signed up to healthcare. So it was one province at a time negotiating, and then people would hear, wait a second, so, you know, in Newfoundland and Labrador or in Nova Scotia, people are getting free healthcare. Maybe we need that here. So it took some time. But what I want to see happen now is I want Justin Trudeau, we had to fight and force him. Now that it's all passed, I can tell you, we had to fight the Liberals every step of the way to get them to this point where we could get this bill passed. and we had to fight to make sure that medications were actually covered. So now we want to see, and my message to Justin Trudeau is we can't see any more delays. Start those negotiations. There are provinces we already know that are interested. Negotiate, get those deals signed. I want people who are living with diabetes right now, who are struggling with how much it costs to buy insulin or to buy those devices they need. I want people across our country to get that free insulin, to get that free diabetes medication.
When can we see this bill working? When can we see people being able to access this medication under this law?
As soon as possible. Like, it could happen within months. It could happen before the end of the year. And it depends on how quickly Justin Trudeau and the Liberals negotiate with provinces. But we could see it happen very soon. Free birth control is already in place in BC. We could see free birth control here in Ontario. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals just have to negotiate with Ontario and make it happen.
I want to go back to the question I asked you at the top here about the current climate here in Canada. If you can touch a little bit on that, how would you describe what's currently happening across the country and the sentiments Canadians are feeling?
Well, I'll tell you, two parts to that. One is if I think about the foreign interference kind of recent news, I think that it's very troubling. I think Justin Trudeau knew about a lot of things and didn't take appropriate actions. Pierre Poilievre refuses to know. I think these are very serious circumstances we're dealing with, and I really believe we've got to protect our country, we've got to protect our democracy. In addition to that, Canadians right now, I feel, are very worried about the cost of living. They're feeling really squeezed, like grocery prices are up, you can't find a home that you can afford, or rents are up. So there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, and a lot of anger about, like, I can't get ahead. Like, I can't, forget about getting ahead, I can't get by, I can barely get by. And I want people to know that you don't have to rely on these kind of cheap slogans from Pierre Poilievre. There are real solutions, and I've got some of those solutions. We proposed putting a price cap on essential food items, which would immediately bring down the price of those essentials that people need. I'm talking about bread and baby formula. We can do things to bring down the cost of housing. We can put in place a law that says no more large corporations can buy up affordable homes. We can put in place real protections for people, but we need to have those real solutions. And New Democrats have shown, I've shown, I'm the only one that's really going to put those solutions forward.
Listen, I'm hearing you speaking right now. You are in complete campaign mode. And I know we don't have, there are talks about possibly an early election. And once that agreement with the Liberals was terminated, we kind of saw all three major party leaders getting into campaign mode here. So I'm going to ask you here, and I don't know if we're going to have an early election or not. I won't ask you about that, but I will ask you if you're planning on running again as a leader of the federal NDP.
Oh, of course. I'm running again. I'm running to become Prime Minister. I've really seen what we could do in a minority government. We were able to bring in pharmacare. That's now the law of the land. We fought for that for decades. People wanted this to happen for generations, and now it's happening.
That's in partnership with the Liberals. Do you think that you can gain support from the majority of Canadians ahead of an upcoming election?
Well, I'm not going to take it for granted, but that's what I want to show people, that there is a choice. Like, we have gotten things done for people. We got dental care. And right now there's hundreds and thousands of seniors and young people, kids, that are getting their teeth fixed because we fought for that. I want people to know we can get things done. We can also tackle the challenges you're up against. Like, we can do it. I've shown you that I can make big things happen. We can take on the big challenge we're up against.
Okay, Jagmeet Singh, we thank you for coming in here to visit us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.